Good morning. It's shortly after 9:30. We are here for a Planning, Housing, and Parks Education and Culture Joint Committee meeting. It's being co-chaired by Chair Jawando of the E&C Committee and myself with the PHP Committee, and he's wearing two hats today as a member of both committees, so appreciate that. We have three items on our joint committee agenda: historical activities, NDA, recreation, school-based and out-of-school programs, and skills for the future, NDA. We're going to take it up in that order. We'll kick it off now with historical activities, NDA, which I will lead that part of the conversation, and then we will turn it over and Chair Jawando will handle the last two items. Montgomery History is already at the table. We have Ms. Chen from council staff. Welcome, and we have our OMB analyst. I'm gonna mispronounce your last name.
No, Deborah Lambert.
Oh, Lambert. Yeah, sorry.
You can explain why.
Good to see you. So, welcome. Thank you. Why don't we kick it off with Montgomery History? If Ms. Chen, if you have anything to kick off. If not, we can turn it over to Matt Logan with Montgomery History to explain the item.
Carolyn Chen, legislative analyst with the County Council. We are reviewing the fiscal year 24 recommended operating budget for the non-departmental account historical activities, which is an NDA specifically for Montgomery History, the nonprofit. Montgomery History is the first department in this budget cycle to not ask for more funds for fiscal year 24. So it made this analysis quite simple, but I will lead with just the quick recommendation that the county executive has recommended a 3% inflationary increase to Montgomery History, totaling $4,860. And that is recommended to be put on the council's reconciliation list as a high priority.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Logan, anything to add? Could say nice things about you after you're done.
How much time do we have here?
Yeah,
I'm happy to. I want to talk about two initiatives that we have coming up that would be relevant, I think, to the council. But before I do that, I just want to highlight some of the other activities we've done because, council members Fanny Gonzalez and Mink were not on the council previously, and so may not be as familiar with some of our work. But the most significant service that we provide to the county is our library. We operate the county's historical library, which is very often part of a public library system. The $160,000 that we receive would probably not be able to operate that library if it had been part of the public library system. So, that's maybe 1.5 FTE. So I think the county and the taxpayers are getting an excellent service for that investment. Not only do we have the front-facing operation serving patrons, but we are conserving, digitizing, preserving, making accessible maps, oral histories, books, documents, diaries, Bibles, et cetera, et cetera. And like with our 10,000-piece artifact collection, those are perpetual obligations, which, unlike any other nonprofit that you're going to talk to, we're in some ways very much like a government entity in that sense. Those obligations are legal and fiscal, and so it really alters the way in which we have to plan and think about the future. I just want to highlight a couple of the activities that have been going on. One is during COVID, we shifted to online programming. And we have weekly history conversations that are offered via Zoom. Those programs average between 150 and 200 people a week. We've had viewers from 46 states and 6 foreign countries. All our topics are about Montgomery County, Maryland topics. So it's quite a testament, I think, to the interest in local history, that it extends far beyond just our own community here. It also indicates that we're reaching new people with a message that is inclusive. It's about accessibility, it's about relevance, it's about engagement. And that's been reflected in our fundraising, where the number of donations has increased by 71%, which is those donations tend to be smaller, but it also indicates that we're reaching a lot of people who may not be able to give, a $1,000 gift, but they can give a $20 or $50 gift, which to us is very, very important. We are still in the process of digitizing the Gazette newspapers, which of course the Washington Post Company purchased and then put out of business. So far we've digitized 77,000 pages. We are in the process of continuing that, and hopefully we'll have more good news to report at this time next year. Our history conference, which I know a number of you have participated in, and those of you who have not, I encourage you right now to sign up. I'll be reaching out to give you an opportunity to kind of meet our audience and to talk about the importance of history in our community. But our history conference continues to grow. Our primary method for reaching students, young people, is through the History Day competition. That's doubled in size in the last 2 years, and it's anticipated to double again in this coming year, which is putting a massive strain on us. The number of volunteers will go from about 100 to 300, which is going to be incredibly challenging for us. I want to thank Councilmember Jawanda for contributing to our immigration exhibit. Councilmember Menk introduced this session on immigration at our conference, but that has been a really effective tool for us to reach communities that we had not previously reached, and we're continuing to do that outreach, and we recently have been recording stories from Venezuela and Cuba. So we just hope to continue to build that out. And if you are in touch with folks who you think would be have important or interesting stories to tell, I certainly hope that you'll share that with us. Right outside the door here, there's going to be 2 markers installed to Mr. John Diggs Dorsey and Mr. Sidney Randolph. As you know, this building sits on the site of the former jail in which both those men were abducted from by white mobs, and then they were ultimately lynched in the immediate vicinity. And so, as part of our work with the Remembrance and Reconciliation Commission, we're going to help memorialize that and hopefully raise increased awareness. So I appreciate your support of that work very much. So that sort of recaps some of the highlights. The 2 things that I really am wanting to talk about, the first is the county's 250th anniversary is coming up. The county was founded in 1776, so there will be other 250th activities taking place around the country in 2026. I think it's an opportunity for us not only to acknowledge that work, and we'll do that as part of a larger Maryland effort, but I think it gives us an opportunity to tell a uniquely Montgomery County story. And I think with democratic values under threat, as hate is on the rise, as intolerance, I fear, becomes normalized and accepted at some level, that this is the time that we can begin to shape a different narrative. I mean, it's not that we haven't been doing that, but I think it can frame the 250th. Those values in which this country was founded in this county need to be reaffirmed and reasserted. And I'll be looking to the council to help to support that, however that comes around. The second thing is we are looking to acquire a new facility. We are hoping to have we've had contracts on 2 buildings so far. Those have not worked out. We are close to putting a contract on a 3rd. We're hoping that one works out. We'll wait and see. We have been very fortunate to receive 2 bond bills in the past 2 sessions totaling $1.2 million. So we're appreciative to the state for that investment, and when it comes time, I hope the county will be able to invest through the capital cost sharing grant program in this in the new facility that would provide a new and appropriate home for our not only library which obviously has very strict environmental controls, but also the storage of our historic artifacts, which obviously have security past UV, dust, temperature, humidity controls, security, all those things, as well as public access for event and educational programming. That's what we're hoping to secure, and it's really, when we look around the region and we see the other historical societies in DC or even in Frederick County, they have really beautiful facilities, and I think that reflects well on those communities. And that's not the case here. And so I think it's very important, not only to history, but I think to the larger humanities community, as well as, quite frankly, the county at large, that we get a facility that's appropriate and in keeping with, I think, the aspirations of Montgomery County. So with that, I can answer any questions.
Well, thank you for that. First of all, really appreciate your work. You know, I'm a huge personal fan. The council has been big supporters of all the work that you've done. If we're going to figure out where we're going, we got to know where we've been and how we got here. And Montgomery history plays a significant role in that, so really appreciate all the work that you're doing. Particularly the markings, historical markers in front of this building. We've talked about this quite a bit. Several of us have participated in a number of the activities leading up to that effort with the Remembrance and Reconciliation Commission, Councilmember Joando in particular, and I have joined together on a number of those efforts as well. And I think it's really important when we come into this building that we know what the past in this building was, and that we're reminded of that as public officials and also the public that comes into this building as well in the decisions that we make. On a much lighter note, digitizing the Gazette, the first article that I was ever quoted in was about the portables at Wayside Elementary School, which and how they smelled funny. So I'm pretty sure I was quoted on that the windows were left open and the rain got inside, and that I'd rather be in a regular classroom, which I think is probably applicable to other conversations that we're having. So I look forward to finding all of those former and past articles. I just want to note before I turn it over to my co-chair, the 3% inflationary increase, which is recommended on the reconciliation list. We have a lot of 3% inflationary increases for all of our nonprofit partners. We've said this previously yesterday, Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee, Council Chair Albernaz, and HHS, they have a lot. They probably have the highest number of these, and we're going to need to be consistent with all of the nonprofits. So, you know, it's a high priority for me personally, but I just want to note here, I think we should, you know, acknowledge that even though this is a very small amount, because it's not a huge budget, $4,860, that, you know, all of the nonprofits, you know, among the various committees of jurisdiction, you know, I think the interest of the council and is going to be to treat them equitably across the board. So I just wanted to acknowledge and note that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Co-Chair Joando.
Thank you, Chair Friesen, and good to see you, Mr. Logan. Thanks for all the work. You guys punch above your weight, and we appreciate, you know, coming with a kind of a same services request, obviously, with the exception that we are going to all look at the increases for the nonprofits together, and we all believe there should be increases. So I think that's the other thing. So we're going to work towards that. I really appreciate the work around the Remembrance and Reconciliation Commission. You know, I've worked with Councilman Reamer on that bill and others, and it's done such great work. The markers are really important, and there's other work. And as someone who's donated one of the 10,000 artifacts that you have there, you know, I have a great interest, both personally and I think as a county, to your point, to making sure that we can help. And I'm so glad the state has stepped up. I want to thank them to get you in a building that can display those 10,000 artifacts, and people can come in and learn. And so I think it's so important. The work on immigration is great. every program I've participated in, you guys get folks from not only the county, but like you said, from around the country and the world. We have a really important story to tell. So I continue to believe that Montgomery County is a place where we can show everyone can live together in diversity and inclusivity and prosper, and our history is a part of that, telling where we've come and where we're going. So really appreciate it. Happy to support, and look forward to continuing to support your work. Keep us posted on the facility, because I know you've been working hard at that. So thank you. Back to the coach.
Thank you, Chair Jawando. Councilor Roberts.
Thank you so much, Mr. Logan. We appreciate your continued leadership on so many different levels. I enjoy going to your events, and I enjoy interacting with your staff and your board and the volunteers. And we do have a unique opportunity before us with the 200-year celebration to really do that right and do it well. So look forward to working with you over the next couple of years. I know there's a wonderful committee that's being formed to look at this, and you're going to have support from the council to make sure we do that right. Thank you.
Okay, unless there are any objections, we will take the recommendation from council staff, just noting, as we put it in as a high priority, that the intention is for it to be consistent with all the other committees related to the 3% inflationary increase. So we will take that without objection. Thank you very much. And now I will turn it over to Chair Jawando, who has the gavel here and is showing it to me. So I've got Chair Jawando. Just note as our colleagues are coming up, Chair Jawando's got the gavel next to him, and I've got my Churchill water to taunt my Whitman Viking colleague over here. I figure why not get a little taunting in while I can.
Thank you. All right, well, we're going to move now to our recreation and school-based and out-of-time programs team, and I see Robin Riley, our great director, Adrian Clutter, Charlotte Keys, Alicia Singh, Thylan Singleton from Collaboration Council, and Jennifer Struble. Come on down. And then we have Vivian Yao from Central Staff. Really appreciate all the work that you all have done. We're going to talk about some really, really important programs, Excel Beyond the Bell, TeenWorks. I just want to mention at the start, out-of-school programming is essential to our recovery. It's always been important. I don't think it's ever been more important than it is right now. It's clear to me as we review the MCPS budget and are talking about all the needs inside of our schools, that the out-of-school time, whether it be after school or over the weekend, is over the summer, is going to be critical to our students and families catching up, having the relief they need mental health-wise. And I just want to thank all of you. I know you all know that, but the investments we make here are among the most important that I think we'll make, and especially at this time. The data is clear that these programs are helping build community, reduce the likelihood of harmful activity. You know, we have this dramatic rise in opioid use in our youth, while it's down in the general population. All of what you do is connected to that, and just thank you for that. With that, just as an intro, would like to turn to Ms. Yao to kind of kick us off, and then obviously we'll come to you, Director Riley, and Collaboration Council, to hear what's going on, and then we'll dive into the packet. Ms. Yao.
Thank you. Good morning. The Joint Committee is here to review recreation items that relate to out-of-school time programming in collaboration with other organizations, including MCPS and private providers. The first item in your packet that I want to call your attention to is really the RESJ, Racial Equity and Social Justice, statements and ratings for the department. The department received actually the highest rating of 3, which shows that they demonstrate a strong commitment to advancing equitable outcomes. A couple things to note is that 73% of the current operating budget is allocated to programs that serve underserved populations, including minorities, youth, and seniors. The department is diversifying its programs and offering new programming in different languages, but there was observation that there were a couple factors that restrict their ability to advance racial equity and social justice that just wanted to get in front of the Joint Committee's attention. One is aging infrastructure of the department, as well as cost recovery that's required for a lot of their camps that are non-tax funded services. And often these programs require cost recovery at a price point that may be, out of the reach of some of our vulnerable populations. And so council staff does recommend that the PHP committee come back to talk about these issues after budget and to see if there are particular strategies that can be employed to, advance racial equity and social justice. In addition, the department reported out on demographics of what they're serving, what they're seeing in terms of youth programming. And while they have had issues migrating information into their new data system, they did report out on kind of historically notable increases in Hispanic participants in their after-school programs at EBB, elementary as well as middle. And they also are anticipating, I guess, a report from MCPS on fiscal year 22 data. So council staff does recommend that the Joint Committee request this data analysis when it becomes available, as this information on demographics is very important in determining the efficacy of REC's programs as well as how it's advancing racial equity and social justice as a whole. Moving on from that, the packet on page 3, at the bottom of page 3, just provides some historical background in terms of what the council approved in the fiscal year 23 budget. And so there are a number of things that the council approved coming out of the pandemic that supported out-of-school time. And that includes funding to the Collaboration Council for community-based programming, Summer Fun Center and Summer Rap programming. And that's actually the one particular item that council staff wanted to bring to the Joint Committee's attention. This programming in fiscal year 3 or last summer was supported by ECEI, or the Early Care and Education NDA. It was one-time funding of $504,000, which is not available for fiscal year 24 or this coming summer. And consequently, the Joint Committee may be interested in hearing from the department how it's planning to roll out the Summer Rap program, what it's doing differently than it was last year, how many sites it's going to instead of how many it went to last year, et cetera. So, and additional items that the council supported that are in the 24 budget are the rest of the, the EBB elementary expansion, the Kids Day Out, non-school day, extended summer camp. All those things continue to be in the department's base.
Thank you, Ms. Yao, and thank you also. I wanted to just allow Director Riley and her team to talk about the first point you made around the trends, and I do think the data analysis is really important, that we know who we're serving, and I see in the packet it mentions that there were some issues with the system to be able to track, and could you just give us an update on where that is and how you hope to rectify that going forward?
Sure.
And good morning.
Good morning. Robin Riley, Director for the Montgomery County Department of Recreation, proud Director of the Recreation Department. We've made some great strides in that in the last 6 months. The software is a shared platform with Park and Planning Commission, and so everything that we do in terms of reframing and required fields, we have to collaborate with them on. And so we just went through a couple quick changes with them, and so we're really confident that we'll see the difference in the next round of data that we can pull. The fields were not required before. They are now required. We have a summer registration coming up, and we're doing a lot to push out information to our customers and to staff that they should make sure they understand those are required fields now, so it'll take a little bit longer to update your family account. And so now we'll be able to not only capture it going forward, but you'll be able to go back and look at it again. So
That's a good point. What are those dates for all of us parents and the
May
millions of parents
15th
watching
at
at home?
6:30 a.m.
May 15th, 6:30 a.m., okay? Be there,
But
get
update
your internet
family-
broadband up.
Yeah, update your family account
Update your
first.
family account.
Is this like a Taylor Swift concert ticket?
For parents, it is.
Just very quickly, I did that yesterday, updated my whole family and signed up for all the summer camps. I still have 1 week that I'm on waiting list. But thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate your diligence.
It's an important moment in time. Okay, great. And then on the point that Ms. Yao raised on the summer wrap, did you want to address that? And then anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
of
for
course.
all your support over the years, and we're looking forward to a really great summer. I'll let Adrienne talk about the summer wrap. She did a lot of work around that when we learned that $500,000 was not going to be available to us in terms of really making the difference. I mean, I think for us, we've done a tremendous amount of work in the last years, really understanding that our community is different in lots of ways, financially, culturally, demographically. And so we've sort of made those change, and I'm sure my staff behind me and beside me will say I'm a change agent. I love changes. I love doing things different and not doing it the same way. And so we've made a lot of progress on reducing our prices as much as we can and offering free or low cost with some investment in our programs. And we've seen a difference because of that. You know, we've done a lot of work in an EDB, and I'll let Adrienne talk more about it, around making that be different this year. We've done tremendous strides in parent engagement. You know, we've had some of our sites that have over 100 parents, and a parent engagement night, thanks to the work of AIM and others at the school system, we had 100% attendance with parents and guardians. That's remarkable to me. So I think all of those things will help make a difference. Our staff have been diligent around taking mental health first aid and being on site to really be that caring adult that makes a difference in out of school time. So I think I'm really excited to the direction we're going and the work that we've done. And we continue to make great progress coming back from really challenging times. I think our next biggest challenge is staffing, and not just career. We've made great successes in that as well, progress. But our seasonal staff hiring is always challenging, and even more so now. So, but I think we're getting closer. So I'll let Adrienne talk about the summer wrap and our fun food and fitness sites.
Ms. Clutter, thank you. Good to see you.
Adrienne Clutter, Division Chief. Thanks for having me. So first, I also need to give credit to MCPS, because when we started this pilot last year, it was tremendously successful, and we couldn't do it without them. What we had done, and thank you to Council for supporting that pilot, what we had done was took our existing Fun Food Fitness program, and which was only like a 2-hour program. It concentrated on access to meals and physical activity, and we converted that into a full day, or I should say after summer school camp for participants. And so we also took existing summer fun centers that were located in school buildings and made that conversion as well, since there were so many students who were going to have to go to summer camp, but the parents did not have full day care, and they also didn't want their students to miss out on the joys of summer, the experiences and the experiential learning that they get from camp. So we did that. Now this year we were looking at a reduction, so we did have to make some changes to the program. In order to make up for that, we reduced the number of sites. We reduced 6 sites that we're no longer going to do. It's not a total loss. Some of those sites were within the city of Gaithersburg, so we were able to negotiate with City of Gaithersburg Park and Recreation, where they were able to take over a few of those locations and implement programming. There still are some schools without programming. We also reduced the number of weeks the program would be offered at 7 locations, and so that allowed us to make up the financial gap. We worked with the schools to choose the sites that we would remain in by high enrollment numbers last year, school participation, and a lot of those schools, we always talk about continuum of services. I know Gabe was, Councilmember Alvarez was big on that. And so we would have those students for year round. We'll have them in our EBB programs, and then they would come to us for summer, and so we know we could make the greatest amount of transformational gains. And so that's how we selected the sites that would remain as summer wraparound.
I appreciate that. Do you have a list, and do we have in the packet of the sites that we're not able to, that were last year that are this year? Did I see in it? I see that is that in here?
I don't
think so. Right?
I don't believe
Could we
that
get
list is
that?
here, but we can request that.
And I know
information.
the process you outlined is the process you should have done of trying to work with Gaithersburg, minimize the loss, change the timing. But I think it would be good to know there might be other opportunities, other nonprofits or private sector partners that we can try to understand and lift up and fill those gaps for students, or get students that were going there to go to some of these other programs, which I know happens sometimes too. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen as well. And some of the sites where we've reduced weeks that have, they're going to be eligible to go to the sites that are the full number of allotment of 6-week program as well. So they might have attended one school for summer school, but when we get to that extent, what I'll refer to as the full 6-week program, they're going to be able to go there. And real quickly, we can get you the list, but the schools that Montgomery County Recreation are not hosting this year are Summit Hall, which I believe is going to Gaithersburg, Brown Station Elementary, which is going to the city of Gaithersburg, Gaithersburg Elementary, which is going to the city of Gaithersburg. And I do want to confirm where we left it, where they were going to pick up programming there, but I definitely need to confirm with them that they were able to make that happen. There are also some other variables that fall into the decision making. Some schools are under construction, and some schools are actually shared schools where we may not have been able to serve them at their location, but they could be attending summer school with another location. Burnt Mills Elementary in Fairland, we're not going there, but I do believe that that may be an example of where one of those schools is attending summer school with Greencastle. I'm not 100% positive. I get it all mixed up, but we will not be at Key Middle School. We will not be at Montgomery Village Middle School. We will not be at Galway Elementary School. We will not be at Kent Mill Elementary School, and we will not be at Fairland Elementary School.
Yeah. But we will be a lot.
But we'll get you the list,
and we'll have that list so we can try to triage. But I appreciate that work. Any questions from colleagues on this point before we move? Gabe, Councilman Roberts.
That's cool. Well, first, I'm not going to bury the lead here. This department is very near and dear to my heart, as everyone hopefully knows, and I just want to commend and thank them for their continued leadership. This is an unfortunate loss because we were able to build something extraordinary, but we will have to think of creative solutions moving forward. I'm glad to hear the city is stepping up as a partner, but this is a model we're going to want to pursue. I think Chair Jawando said it extraordinarily well, that the space that we are within the out-of-school time is more important than ever before, and we can really sort of leverage the partnerships. And I appreciate you, Ms. Clutter, acknowledging MCPS. We've worked hard for many years to establish a very strong partnership between the department and MCPS, and so we're going to have to do more of that moving forward. We're going through MCPS's budget right now in the Education and Culture Committee. I do also want to agree with Ms. Yao and humbly request that we come back to the issue of the enterprise fund that the department has to meet, which keeps it from doing all that it would like to. And being able to expand, especially the affordability of services, which have always been at an extraordinarily high quality, and that standard has continued to be met. So this is a tough one, but I understand where we are, given the challenging fiscal situation. But the good news is the infrastructure is there to build off of as things improve. So that's a silver lining.
Absolutely, and we will come back to that conversation. Co-Chair Friedson.
Thank you. Sitting between the chair here and the former director, echo everything that has been said, and appreciation to the department for all the work that it has done, to all the partners for the work that they have and you continue to do, and for the need, which is critical. I mean, we've always needed after-school programs, but boy, do our young people need outlets beyond school. There are so many challenges, and there were going into COVID, but those challenges have been exacerbated to an extent that I don't think any of us have seen, and we were not prepared for, and we are now catching up, and it is going to continue to be a challenge. I agree as well. Obviously, some disappointing, dynamics here that we have to grapple with, but I appreciate the rationale behind it. And I also think, as Councilmember Albornoz was noting, that the opportunities for partnership, I think, are more significant now than ever. And I'm hoping that this challenging circumstance that we have found ourselves in and the crisis that we just emerged from has presented some silver linings and some opportunities and some, collaborations that maybe we were forced into that now we can take advantage of. And so I think it is a moment now where I hope that we can come back to this over the next year or 2 or 3 years and really think, could this be an inflection point of us really rethinking some of the partnerships and the models and the way that we do the work, because it's needed, and I think there are opportunities out there, and I think we're being forced to kind of break down some of these silos and some of the way things have always been and the way we've always done them. So I'm just curious if you could touch on, kind of thoughts for moving forward of how we lean into that a little bit, and the change agent mentality, which I really do appreciate in this department in particular, and from the director on down.
Sure. I mean, I think over the last 4 years, and I've been around a little bit, I think the last 4 years have really been a model for us in terms of really connecting with partnerships. We continue to grow in that area. There's some quick examples I can give you. Kingdom Fellowship supporting us. We're supporting them with food distribution, and they give back in so many ways by adding enhancements, basketball clinics and workshops at our rec centers. We're working with Impact Silver Spring. We're working with Adventist Community Health to add STEM and enrichment. They're a grant recipient, and they bring that grant opportunity to our summer camp and add STEM and science and reading and math to that camp. And that's, to me, that's a model also going forward that we should look to expand and partner on. And I think as we go forward, we continue to do that work just to really grow our partnerships and our connections. We've done great work with Montgomery County Public Schools, Collaboration Council. So I think the door's wide open in that area. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think interesting thing that we did last year was we looked at all of our partnerships around summer and all the subsidy that we offered to try to calculate what our community impact really looked like. We reached nearly about 10,000 young people through the various programs, and the impact of the community was probably worth greater than $5 million through the level of subsidy. MCPS offering scholarships, linkages to learning, working with us to identify vulnerable young people to make sure they get into camps. Our Rec Assist program, I know we reached out to several homeless families. This year we're looking at connecting with the Treehouse, thanks to council staff. And so we really did have a broad reach. And I think as a department, we just need to get better at sharing our story and where we're going with that. And of course, again, Collaboration Council, we do a lot of great work with them as well. And so we're certainly proud about that. And I think it's a proud piece for the county to be able to highlight.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much, and keep on keeping on, and look forward to supporting this, but even more so look forward to the opportunities for more partnerships, for more creativity, for changing the way that we're providing these crucial services to residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Friedson. And I'm going to turn to Councilmember Mink in a moment. I just want to mention that this is something that, as Chair of ENC, and I've talked to my colleagues about this, out of school time, and is going to be a major initiative for us, and to try to ramp up over the next several years. I talked to the superintendent about it. I think it is, for me, it's unconscionable that any student in our 211 schools does not have a place to go after school that's affordable for them or on the weekend. And there's an intricate network, right, of how do we provide those public and private resources. But the bottom line is, and I know my colleagues agree, we have to provide them, and we have to put that network together. And so while we've taken a little step backward now, oftentimes that allows you to take multiple steps forward next year. So we need to plan and figure that out. I know I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't have a place to go after school, and I think that's true for a lot of us. And so look forward to working with my colleagues, and we really have the right 3 committee chairs here and the right people here to make that happen. Councilmember Mink.
Thanks, Chair Jawando, and thank you to my colleagues. I strongly agree with the sentiments expressed here. This is a huge priority in the programming that you do, and I want to really recognize also the equity-based, data-based, holistic approach that you take to your programming is so effective. You know, that's why we're able to reach the communities that we're reaching and have results that we see that aren't just, they're not just academic. It doesn't just affect mental health. It doesn't just affect community building. It's, you know, you're bringing together so many different pieces with such a, you know, thoughtful and community-based approach. And so, you know, it's no surprise that there are buy-ins from so many members of the council who you know, care about such a broad breadth of things. This is really a critical piece, and we certainly need to be leaning into it, doing whatever we can to help facilitate these partnerships, and to, you know, to your point, lifting up the work that you're doing, I think will also be helpful. I just wanted to share that during this conversation, I've been getting a bunch of messages from student interns because MCPS is off today. So we have several who are in-house and we have several who are watching at home, and they are blowing up my phone telling me to give you all more money to support more programming. And I just wanted to briefly read one of the messages which really struck me. My elementary and middle school had a lot of low-income ESOL and immigrant families, and programs like these really helped those kids build more connection to the school and the community. And so I think that really goes to the heart of what we're talking about here. So I will turn it back to the chair and look forward to this work.
There literally are the millions watching at home right now. You know, Council Member Fanny Gonzalez.
Thank you. One question, actually two questions. And before I ask the questions, you know I love you guys so much. You guys do amazing work, and I use you on a personal level a lot with my children. And the staff at the Wheaton Rec Center is amazing. I just had to highlight them because that's the one I'm always there. Well, first question, when you come back with your data analysis, can you please make sure that you emphasize students with disabilities, the need of making sure that we have programs, especially low-income students with disabilities. In my district, we have the Stephen Knowles School, which is a school that serves kids from age 3 to 21. And during the summertime, families are in need. They struggle to find places to have their kids stay at. So I would love to have an analysis of that. So that's one. And the second thing, I had to put on my chair as economic development chair, or 4 chairs here. Yeah. What are the partnerships that you have with the private sector? I would love to dig into that. I mean, you talked about nonprofits, obviously the role of the government, but the private sector has a huge role here. And I would love to know how it has that been, and what can we do to help you make that stronger? So.
All right, thank you. So first, we're hoping that we should at least be able to tell you the percentage of students with disabilities that are participating in our program, especially Excel Beyond the Bell, when we get that analysis, so that'd be great. In the past, historical trends have been good. I'd like to do more in this area for sure, but they've been, I want to say, somewhat reflective of the school population, which is a positive. We also have therapeutic recreation programs and inclusion services in the department. We're hoping to grow our inclusion program. We just hired a staff person to do that, and that allows us to have students join, we would say, traditional camp experiences with a one-on-one companion for families. That also offers, we take a number of volunteers and we to serve as companions, so it creates another opportunity for students as well. So we're excited about potential growth in that area, but we'll certainly get back to you with that. And also, I forgot this, private sector, yes, thank you. So we do hire a number of private sector businesses and local small businesses that we work with to deliver services. Now, in terms of in-kind donations or financial support, we don't necessarily do a lot of that. We do have some that will make some donations or contributions, but most of our interactions in the department are where we are we are hiring them and transacting for services, in which they're a big part of our service provider community, as well as many nonprofits. We have hundreds of contracts. We couldn't do what we do without that community. And we also turn to our partners at Collaboration Council, who are positioned nicely to really take different kinds of funding and support from Collaboration Council and put that back into the system.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, Ms. That's really helpful information. I think you heard from all of us how important this is, and so Ms. Yao, let's continue on in the package.
Actually, can I make one quick
yes, hold on one second, Councilmember May.
Sorry, really quickly, just piggybacking on Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez's excellent point about persons with disabilities. I just wonder if there might be some crossover here with the new IDD Commission to get some input from them about ways to further the work.
Really good point. Ms. Yao.
Yep. Okay, so now we're getting into the recommended changes from the executive. On the table at the bottom of page 4 of your packet shows proposed changes, and again, council staff did a first cut of putting it in priority categories. The first one is the expansion of the EBB elementary program to 2 additional sites for a total of $549,261. All the council members have indicated what a high priority out of school time programming is. And again, because of the pandemic, we've just only seen that need increase. So there has been a steady incremental increase in these comprehensive out of school time programs delivered by Recreation. Their EBB elementary is now at 14 elementary schools, and the proposal is to expand to 2 more elementary schools. Those would be Watkins Mill and Harriet Tubman elementary schools, and the schools are chosen based on a strategic programming index developed by County Stat in collaboration with the department. So council staff does recommend approval of this budget item and recommends categorizing it as a high priority, expanding these comprehensive out-of-school time activities for vulnerable children and families who lack access to these services has been a high priority for the council and is consistent with advancing RESJ goals. The services also provide a structured enrichment activities during parent work hours as well.
Thank you, Ms. Yao. Yeah, we're all big fans of EBB. If I had a magic wand, I would create it everywhere. But obviously we're going to work on building that set of services so that we have coverage everywhere. But unless colleagues have any comments, I don't think without objection we would concur with that high priority.
Okay.
So the TeamWorks.
This next one is expanding the TeamWorks programming for a total of $444,411. This is a youth development learn to work program that gives young people their first experience in the workforce with supports including training and mentorship. The budgets in the table on page 5 shows what was funded in 22, 23, and 24, and then the anticipated participation. The program has been in high demand. I think there was 1,700 kids that expressed interest in participating, and again, the participation is limited, so 120 in 22, 132 in 23, and then hopefully with this addition, the ability will be able to serve 180 to 200 youth. This allows participants to actually get paid for doing various work for the department and the community, and it's a twofer because not only are youth getting these skills and being constructively, engaged, but the county is also benefiting from the work that they are doing. And they are helping seniors learn technology skills. They're helping out with special events and planning them. They're helping out with after-school programs. So there's a whole lot of different things that TeamWorks is able to engage these students in. So council staff recommends, again, approving this budget item and categorizing it as a high priority. It gauges primarily brown and black youth, low income, vulnerable youth, and helps give them productive skills. provides income for them and their families, and its expansion is critical as, you know, the youth participation in the labor force, as OLO has recognized, has declined in recent years.
Thank you, Ms. Yao. I'm going to turn to my colleagues in a moment. Our kids are literally crying out for these opportunities. You know, the Summer Rise program, which I had the pleasure of starting, same thing. You have a couple thousand kids requesting only 800 opportunities. I think TeenWorks is always it's an awesome program. So this has to be part of and we've grown it over time, but we have to grow it more rapidly. It's a great program. I was just talking yesterday with our newly minted Secretary of the Department of, I always get the name wrong here, Service and Civic Innovation that the governor set up to get a year of service, Paul Montero, and I mentioned both these programs, TeenWorks and Summer Rise, as kind of like models to look at as you're trying to figure out what our students might do in that year after high school. So just really a great program. Councilmember Albornoz.
It is, and Chair Fanny Gonzalez talked about economic development. This is economic development. We are preparing the next generation of workforce. The skills that these youth develop, the interactions they have with our constituents is extraordinary. All you have to do is go to the 4th of July fireworks and you see green t-shirts all over the place. And now I know that it's created a pipeline for the recreation department. These are youth that then are interested in employment within county government and in public service. So we do need to, just as we want to expand our out-of-school time programs, take this program to scale too, because it also, on some level, presents some savings if you think about the work that they do and the support that they provide to county events and services and programs, which is really extraordinary. So I'm very proud of this program, and I look forward to being on this joint committee so we can talk about how we can expand it, because it is so necessary, especially right now.
Couldn't agree more. Councilmember Friedson, Co-Chair Friedson.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's a great program. I think it's a great model. We have talked a lot about the opportunities to engage young people, but also help them to get life skills, to get work skills, to get income for themselves and their family, all of which are important and all of which have significant long-term value. And this is a really great opportunity to do it. And I love the idea, like we use the cadet program in the police department, like we've used other internship programs with young people to recruit our own young people into the recreation department, into various other county departments and agencies that we're desperately trying to fill positions with talented, young, energetic people, and to we're training them in this sense to understand the programs that we're providing, which is great. I also wanted to note, I love the term "at promise youth," and I just wanted to lift that up for a second. Before he was Chair Albornoz on this body, he was chair of the Collaboration Council. I got to follow him, and we got to serve there together. And it always bothered me when we discuss at-risk children and youth. And one, I would argue that every child and youth is at risk of mental health challenges and other struggles, depending on the circumstances that they find themselves in. But also every young person is at promise too, and it's a question of what are the circumstances that we're providing them as well. So I think this is a much better way to talk about it. I am going to, and have tried after learning the term to start thinking about it this way. I think it's much more reflective of the work that you all are doing and what we're attempting to help you do, and just wanted to note that. So thanks.
Thank you, Chair Friedson. Yeah, it's why we've started using opportunity as opposed to achievement gap, and there's a lot of that positive-based framing. Councilmember Mink.
Thanks. Yeah, strong agree. And I'm sure, as you all know, the kids who go through TeenWorks are, fantastic students and fantastic, contributors to our community now and through this particular way, and then moving forward. So, and I'm proud to have a TeenWorks participant who's one of our student interns who's here today. And so it's a great opportunity, and I would love to continue to look at how we can continue to expand this one in particular. And I just also wanted to note that as we're kind of thinking about how to improve upon the pipeline, smooth out the pipeline from, MCPS to Montgomery College and with USG, that, from the perspective of our students, this is not necessarily a separate thing, right? We're talking about what are you going to do after high school, where are you going to go, and where are you going to be a number of years from now, and making sure that all of our students, when they're starting at the beginning of high school, that all of them are able to see before them a menu of options. And this is part of that menu. So, we have met recently on the E&C committee talking about the Ready Institute and how we want to, use that to help to, promote these different pipelines and create new ones. And I just, as all of us are kind of thinking about moving forward, I think that we should have the perspective that programs like TeenWorks, and maybe this can also help us to move more funding here and help us to expand that program, because this is a program that that is going to benefit everyone who participates. That should really be from the perspective of our students, part of that same menu. We don't want to set up another, confusing situation where we've got, this bucket of work over here, this bucket of work over here. The impact on the clients is, these are all of your choices and opportunities. So just something for us to think about moving forward.
Very good point. All right, so obviously this is expanding, and almost a doubling in the funding, but what allowed us to span around 75 more students this year, but we all want to do more. So I think without objection, we will agree to including this funding as a high priority. All right, we'll move to the next one.
Okay. Next one is the Skills for the Future NDA. The total amount of the NDA is $284,774. What's on the reconciliation list is the increase for fiscal year 24 of $8,294, which is that 3% inflationary adjustment. Again, council staff has it on this list as just a regular priority, but it will move depending on how we're treating all the other 3% inflationary increases. So
Yes.
Go
ahead. Continue.
I was going to say that on page 9 of your, or 6 of your packet, lists which organizations have worked with recreation to deliver these services. In 22, it was the Kid Museum, as well as Unicorn and Woodsman LLC, and in 23, it's just been Kid Museum. We got information from the Kid Museum about the programming it's done, but that didn't come in time for the packet, but we'll make sure that we attach that information into the council packet.
I appreciate that, and I see Kara Lesser and her team from Kid Museum here. They're big partners. We appreciate all of their work. Talk about a place where we love to take our kids, and the work that you've done to outreach to the entire county and our school system, and during the summer, it's endless. So we're very proud of all that work. Co-Chair Friedson.
Yeah, appreciate that. First of all, I want to acknowledge Kid Museum and Carl Lesser, who's here, and the great work that is being done, and how important this is when we talk about providing skills to young people for them to be successful for the future. I couldn't think of better example than this particular program. I did want to note that we fought hard for this funding, if you recall. I know Chair Jawanda knows this. We worked in the prior Fed committee to advocate for this funding a few years ago, and it was on the reconciliation list. It did have competition from other priorities. We did fight very hard to get this funding, and boy, was it needed, and am I pleased that we fought so hard to do that. So I want to acknowledge that, and just really pleased to see this moving forward. I'm glad that you noted the 3%, because I hope that those who are looking at our packets don't think that we're picking and choosing which priorities among these different nonprofits. Again, the intention has been and continues to be that we're going to treat all of the nonprofits the same, with the same level of priority. This is a very high priority for me, given the fact that we fought so hard previously together to advocate for this funding originally. It's been great to see it used so effectively, and I really appreciate all the work that's being done, and just want to acknowledge as well the new hub and spoke model with the new facility. I think is working really well, where there's one transit-oriented main hub, but there's work that's happening throughout the county to make sure that we're reaching as many students and as many young people as possible, with a great partnership with the Recreation Department as well as Montgomery County Public Schools. So this is great, and I really appreciate it.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, and I almost want to say we should just put this as a high priority because we just did it in the last MDA. But Councilman Friesen's right. How we're going to look at these all. I'm fine. Yeah, and yeah, I would just say let's do that if colleagues are okay, just to be consistent within the meeting, so that put this as a high priority as well. But the intent is that all the inflationary adjustments will be treated the same by the council. And I know chairs of other committees feel the same way, and it's just a little kink in the process this year, the way it's going. So without objection, I think we'll accept that, and then we'll move to the last item, the collaboration with the Collaboration Council.
Yes, the last item is just really an update on kind of the out-of-school time systems building efforts. As Chair Jawando mentioned, that there is interest in coming up with a strategic plan that ensures that all students that need out-of-school time, high-quality out-of-school time activities are able to access them. So there is a group of stakeholders, key stakeholders, that have been meeting to figure out how do we go about this process, because there's a lot of different players in this process as well as stakeholders. So we reported last budget cycle that there was going to be some coaching work done with the Forum for Youth Investments with this group, and that did happen, and some of those, like the outcomes of those are described in your packet, but also we have Collaboration Council here that can kind of talk a little bit more about that, as well as kind of how this group is moving forward to come up with, this kind of overarching look at the system in the county, how to build it up, and how to strategically then plan and expand that system.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, this is something, like I said, it's such a big priority for all of us, and we appreciate you all undertaking this work and being at the lead of it. So if you want to introduce yourselves and talk about, whoever wants to talk about where we are with that.
Yeah, sure, I will. Tylen Singleton here, out-of-school time program manager for the Collaboration Council. Good morning, Council. Yeah, I have had the pleasure of joining the Collaboration Council in our unique position of being able to leverage our collaborative partnerships with agencies like MCPS, REC, and CUF, to name a few, to really galvanize around creating this coordinated system of quality out-of-school time supports and services. And so it is our pleasure to be at the helm of this project as we really reconvene the work group to really focus ourselves and be a little bit more intentional on the outcomes around quality out-of-school time programs here in Montgomery County. And so I will introduce to you our consultant, Shanae, one of my former colleague at the Collaboration Council, who really.
I didn't know that she left. I thought you're still part of the family. We're not letting you go.
Oh, of course, yeah. Who could really give us a status update around the work group and where we are currently. And so, Shanae.
Good morning. Right. Good morning, Shanae Tate, formerly staff member at the Collaboration Council in the Out-of-School Time Department. I'm now a consultant with that work, still supporting, still a fan of everything that all of our partners are doing to advance quality out-of-school time in the county. I have been supporting the work group on behalf of Collaboration Council, but I cannot start without thanking Council for convening that work group. Initially, during the pandemic, we were a pandemic response. Vivian Yao galvanized us all at that time for a real programmatic response to a lot of the gaps that we were seeing. And I have to raise up the leadership of Joanne Barnes, who has since retired, who kept us together and then passed the torch to Ramona Bell Pearson, who has served as the chair of that work group, keeping the momentum, keeping us committed. And a lot of that work that has happened since 2021 has now resulted in the Collaboration Council stepping to the helm as the lead of what would now be the strategic planning for the system in the role as the local management board. And that work we've come together around the outcomes of the programs that we need to share and the values of those programs that we need to share across all of our agencies, which was a tremendous amount of work, because as you know, you have pockets of work over here doing one thing, important priorities identified over here. And this work group has really allowed us an opportunity to kind of put our heads together and say, what are we unitedly accomplishing? Who are we unified around reaching? Who are the needs really being impacted? What are the needs being impacted? And now how do we turn that into a sustainable system and stop being simply a programmatic response in times of emergency? How do we look at developmental needs of our young people in the county in a more sustainable way? And the work group has made tremendous strides with identifying what would be our guiding vision, that we're looking for quality, we're looking for equity, we're looking for accessibility and sustainability of current efforts, but expansion to those who are not being reached, who are not being heard, and their needs are not being addressed by our current efforts. And with that, we need to raise up different values. We saw through our coaching that a lot of the results of some of the work that has been celebrated here today, I'm really pleased to see that work group members, the agencies, took the lessons back. They started looking at their existing resources, identifying and strategically identifying staff members to deliberately focus on out-of-school time. So where you had a program identified, you now have an out-of-school time coordinator in agencies like MCPS. Where you had, disparate community engagement activities, you saw more community engagement strategies, bringing more information back to the work group about what communities are saying and what they need, and then seeing the existing program meet those needs or work to restructure itself so that we can allocate resources that we have now before we even get to the planning of a future system, to make sure that we're not creating gaps and leaving gaps with what we have in our hands now. So now the work ensues to undertake the task of strategically planning a system. The work group has met. We've had increased interest and participation from the county executive, more interest and support from county council. A lot of our partners are coming back to the table with new advanced ideas and innovations, and with more community voices with them. So we have more stakeholders that we need to engage. The work group needs to expand beyond government. It needs to expand beyond the agencies, and it now needs to include youth and communities and families. So we're undertaking that work for community engagement as well, and looking to put that strategic plan together that gets us to a place to have a strategic plan to implement. Our goal is FY25, to spend the year of FY24 engaging families, engaging young people, partners, expanding the work group, and structuring it to complete that strategic plan for a system that delivers everything that our young people deserve.
Well, I appreciate that overview and just an update on the work. I'm going to push you a little bit and say I want to be at budget next year investing in a plan.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I heard you say.
Yes, that's our goal. FY25 is implementation year.
Good, good. So we are going to engage with you all year, and I think you're exactly right. There's so many community-based programs that are not formally in our network that are serving folks that we need to touch. We need to get more from community and needs. So excited that you're leading and structuring that work in that way. And as you've heard today, there will be broad-based support in investing in a strategic plan to ramp this up over time. But with urgency, we need it, and really happy that Collaboration Council, I think you're the perfect home. I want to thank Ramona Bell Pearson, who's the chair of that group, and Cup. Obviously, you all play an extraordinary role in this. Can't have out of school time if you don't have places for people to be, and and obviously rec and all those partners, everyone is just a key component of it. I see Councilmember Albanaz has a question.
I'm super excited about this. So we did this 10 years ago. That's what launched Excel Beyond the Bell. So, and that came out of the work of the Kennedy Cluster. And it was this incredible public-private partnership that, and as is often the case with these types of initiatives, it was the journey that was even more valuable than the actual document that was produced, because it reintroduced a lot of organizations to each other, established trust, and we need that right now because we've suspended everything for 2 years. And so now is the perfect time to redo this work. And the paradigm, and I've talked about this often, it's not in school, out of school, it's all one unit. And it's tracking youth all the way through and having programs build off of each other so that caring adults have a soft pass. And the same way we try to do within our school system, people are alerted to what youth and their families' interests are, and we follow them and guide them all the way through until adulthood. So this is really exciting, and I want to be involved in it. There's a lot of crossover into HHS in this space too, and so we will certainly have conversations, possibly some joint committee sessions once there are some updates, but look forward to this work. But I would encourage you to look at it, I'm sure you already have, the Kennedy Cluster work that was done a number of years ago, and the EBB work, because it does provide a roadmap that needs to be updated, with what's going on today, but we don't have to start completely from scratch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to that point, I was going to just say, Ms. Yao, and to the Collaboration Council, to the whole group, I want to make sure we're having multiple check-ins between July 1 and next July, or this time and this time next year, to just get updates at the joint committee, and whether we can bring HHS too if we want. I mean, I think there's obviously a lot of overlap here.
Yeah, they're a part of the work group.
Yeah, so we absolutely should. Co-Chair Friesen.
Thanks. First of all, thank you. Really appreciate this. I am also excited about this as well, and a lot of work that has gone into it, a lot of conversations that have happened up to this point that I have been pleased to be part of. I know all of us are just deeply excited and engaged in this work. And I just think it's really important that it be systems-based, and I know that's what you're working towards. We do a lot of things in Montgomery County, and I think individually we do a lot of things well, but what we have lacked, I think, oftentimes is the systems-based approaches and the connectivity and the continuum so that each of these great programs with great organizations and great people are not happening in an isolated way and in a vacuum. And so in so much as we can leverage what is already happening and then build where the gaps are based on a systems-based approach, I think is incredibly important. I joined the Collaboration Council because of a connection through a private funder of Excel Beyond the Bell, one of the outside partners of that organization that turned me on to Excel Beyond the Bell, connected me to Collaboration Council. I then decided to apply to join the board as it's called a private a private member. I always get confused, but as not a member of county government. That really is what led me into that aspect of work. But I do think it needs an update. I do think that times have changed, needs have changed, program and opportunities have changed, outside partners have emerged that didn't exist before, and we need to really think through how we can best leverage this. And I do agree, what we're talking about is taking care of our young people and supporting their needs, and that's true in school and that's true out of school, and it's our job to do it in both cases and more broadly. So I couldn't agree more with the idea that these things are connected. There's a lot of work to be done. You got a lot of work ahead of you because we need a plan in 8 months, because then we got to execute it for next budget year, and you got to start ramping it up beginning a year from July. So look forward to seeing where we go with that. And it's methodical and gradual to ramp up, but urgent, I think is what Chair Giwando said, and I agree.
Absolutely. I'm just as excited. This is great. So you're hearing it from all of us. So let's go back, and Ms. Diao will plan some time in the spring or in the late summer maybe to get an update.
Sure.
Yes, go ahead.
And I also did want to highlight that, the strategic planning work may take additional resources to accomplish. A proposal really wasn't ready for prime time, as of today's meeting, but I did want to make sure that the committee's understood that, this work may take additional resources that, will bring to the council as it's available.
Absolutely.
And I did want to thank MCPS really for stepping up. There is now a new out-of-school time coordinator, Jennifer Strobel, who is now participating with this committee. And MCPS is, it's really important player in this effort.
Absolutely. Yeah, good to see you, Mr. Strobel. We'll have you in E&C soon, but good to see you. Okay, I think with that, we are done with this part of the packet. Colleagues, anything else? We're going to start the PHP committee. We'll be back at 11 here, but we'll take this 12-minute break and see you all shortly. So with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Is that okay? Okay, good.
We'll get it.
Of the commission